Hello and welcome back to Piano Lessons. Bola, I'm Sarah Hager. Today I would like to take up with you Bach's Chromatic Fantasy in D minor, which is part of the Chromatic Fantasia and Fugue. It's a very, very uncharacteristic work of Bach, especially for the harpsichord, in which he seems to be very disturbed, very emotional. And I discovered this work when I was in my teens, when I came across a recording of the great English harpsichordist George Malcolm. And I fell in love with the piece, and so I studied it. But unfortunately, the only edition available to me at the time was a highly edited edition by von Bülow, who, like many typical 19th century pianists, added octaves and vast arpeggios and ornaments to Bach's works, perhaps because they wanted to put across their grandeur and magnificence. And particularly it was a time of organ transcriptions, of taking his organ toccatas and fugues and then making them as brilliant as possible. There was von Bülow, there was Tausig, there was Busoni. So years later, I would say even decades later, I wanted to learn the original work, removing all these additions and interpolations by the 19th century pianist. And to my amazement, I had to relearn the whole work from scratch. It was very difficult to unlearn what I had learnt in my teens and then relearn it totally different. Now the second question is, should it be played on the piano or on the harpsichord? That remains an open question, of course, forever. But if you hear the opening, or at least let me just play for you the opening measures of the Chromatic Fantasia on the harpsichord first. That was on the harpsichord. Now, on the piano, it would sound now that definitely sounds more familiar to our modern ears, because we are used to the sound of the piano. And yet, to me personally, the harpsichord sounds more authentically Bach, more that antique sound. And in any case, that's the sound that Bach would have heard while composing it. So I would like to play it for you on the harpsichord. I do realize that it's a very personal preference. When I have played this to my students, some have decidedly told me that they prefer to listen to it on the piano. And others have said, well, actually I like it better on the harpsichord. It sounds more like Bach. So this, we have to accept, is a personal preference. Now, particularly in the recitative section in the middle, which sorry, not the recitative section, the arpeggio section, which starts at measure 28, where Bach wrote and so on. For several measures, a series of grand arpeggios. In the 19th century, the pianists did so of course this was on a harpsichord, they wanted it on the piano.
Hello, please leave a message after the tone.
But it was really too much, and changing the music so drastically. So I would just play what Bach wrote. The other thing is, in the middle there is a recitative section where Bach has actually written the word recitativo. And so it's like an aria or a slow movement right in the middle of the Fantasia. It starts like this. Unusually sad, especially in the harpsichord works of Bach. And then at the end of the Fantasia, and that's where it gets its name, chromatic, there is a great chromatic descent from D, the second D above middle C, and then step by step, chromatically, all the way down to the D just next to middle C. Goes like this. And of course it ends with the characteristic and a great tierce de Picardy, which is Bach's signature and always the mark of his strength of spirit in the face of all sorrow and sadness. But this is very sorrowful. It's like feeling sadness of all mankind, and that the chromatic descent, again to highlight, is so. Without further ado, let us just listen to this Fantasia of Bach.